you don't have to be Nostradamus to predict the future. You go to cities like Malmo, Sweden's third city, that are 20 years ahead demographically. That's what the rest of Sweden is going to be, and Sweden is taking more immigrants, more refugees, than UK, France, and all the other Nordic countries combined. And at the same time, Sweden has, in the OECD, the largest gap in employment between natives and immigrants. It's literally the worst country in the world in terms of getting immigrants integrated into the labor market. The central problem of Sweden is that these facts are not openly discussed. The right, political right, the left, and the media, they have formed an iron cartel to basically censor negative facts about immigration and sort of highlight positive spin on this issue. And for a Swedish academic or a politician or a reporter to go on TV and say the figures I've reported, that could destroy their career. And at any case, they would cause a huge amount of social reprisal.
Before you continue, why? If they're facts.
This has deep historical reasons, and the historical reason I would argue is that when refugee immigration to Sweden started in the late 80s in large numbers, there was a huge violent, aggressive racist backlash. So this is another paradox about Scandinavia, that the Scandinavian countries are quite peaceful, but in terms of racist murders, they top the world. And the Swedish elite, again, the left, the right, and the media, they formed, a counter movement to quell racism. And if the politicians and the media can claim that immigration is good for economy, it's not causing unemployment, it's not causing social problems, then they easily win the debate, right? So then they cheat. Then they just create this basically public lie that things are going great, we have minor problems, but it is basically beneficial. So the sort of a spin has become a reality to them. And given that they believe that, when they hear somebody say these negative, pessimistic numbers, they assume it can't be true. Because if that were true, why isn't everybody saying it on TV? The social truth wins over the factual truth. But I would understand this if there was a plan. Say, okay, let's lie or white lies for a while until we solve this problem. The thing is, though, that the problem isn't solving itself. It's just slowly becoming bigger and bigger. And I have to say that the level of speech oppression that they have achieved, completely decentralized without any real laws or sort of, it's not Iran. They don't put you in prison if you say these numbers. What they do is you may get fired, or you may, half your friends are going to remove you on Facebook. It works. So academics are these facts are well known by economists, for example. But economists are generally silent. What benefit is it for you if you're a blonde, blue-eyed Swede to go and say, yeah, immigration is really bad for economy? But then you are saying the same thing as those skinheads, right? So then maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're racist. Why else would you be saying that? I mean, even the New York Times had an article where they were shocked about the so-called consensus in Sweden, how there was a sort of wet blanket over the debate.
It's like an irrational immigration cult.
Yes, I would say it's sort of an anti-racist cult. That's what it is. So if you want to sort of psychologize, Sweden is one of the most secular countries in the world. Okay, they've lost their moral grounding because the elitists in particular are aggressively anti-religion, right? So, but people, of course, need some sort of spirituality, morality, some values. And instead, their values are anti-racism. So they created this alternative reality for themselves, where it's the 1930s, and they're the guys fighting Hitler. And if somebody says immigrants have high unemployment, some of them genuinely think, yeah, that's exactly what Hitler said. They don't know what Hitler said. They don't understand that. And if you want, you can perhaps find an explanation in the lack of values, and people fill it up then with something else.
It's a religious substitute.
Yes, that's what it is. It's a quasi-religion, yes. It's a secular religion.
So what is the future of all this?
In the short run, they are just going to continue, and we have the projections that the record levels that we have now are going to accelerate even further. In the long run, my guess is this is going to collapse.
When you say collapse, what comes to your mind? Economic collapse?
In Sweden?
Social unrest? Yeah.
Adam Smith said there is a lot of ruin in a nation. By that he meant that nations can take a lot of beating without collapsing. Sweden will never collapse, okay? What's going to happen if this continues is just a gradual deterioration in social economic outcomes, more segregation.
So what is the mentality? Is it NIMBY, not in my backyard? The leaders of Sweden, we're going to bring all these immigrants in because it makes us feel better, but they won't be going to our kids' schools.
Yes. So among Swedish politicians, there was one of the Swedish newspapers had a survey. 1% of them live in the areas where there are lots of immigrants, and those are typically immigrants. I mean, that just that tells you something about those people, right? The elite, which is this is more multiculturalism for voters, but not for me and my kids. If you really think multiculturalism is good, why don't you go live there? The fact that you don't live there, that almost none of them live there, almost none of them send their kids to school there, shows that at a human level, at some level, they understand that this is not working. And these politicians, some of them know. I mean, I talk to, high-ranking politicians sometimes. Some of them know what's going on, and that this is unsustainable, and it's basically Sweden is slowly going toward the cliff.